design for students for courses like CFA, ACCA, financial modeling. So these are the areas that I look at, and I have worked majorly into finance related fields of investment banking, equity research, a bit of credit research as well. Okay, now let's get to the agenda for the day. So what we are going to do in this 2 days session, see, basically we have got 2 hours today and 2 hours tomorrow. What we are going to do in this session is to get an understanding of how to get a job in finance, because this is something that a lot of people come to us and ask for. I've been training students for the last 10-12 years, and this is a common question across the last 8-10 years, that how to get a job in finance, because getting a job in finance is challenging. Most of the people find it very challenging to get a job in finance. So what we did is we thought of talking about the things that is most important for the student. So this bootcamp is specifically designed for CS, though everybody can take a leaf out of it, but designed specifically for CS or people who are pursuing CA. What is that we are going to cover basically in the 2 days session? The first thing that we'll cover on day one is the recruitment process. Now, why should you know the recruitment process? The important thing here is that if you know how the recruitment process works, you can build in small things into your resume, into the way you present yourself, and into the how you go prepared into the interview. So it all boils down to that preparation. And if you know the interview process, you can prepare well. One of the things that you do, if you look at the interview process closely, and you specifically know which kind of finance profile you're targeting, then your preparation could be accordingly, right? So once we are done with the recruitment process, we will look at what the profiles in finance are. This is also important in terms of choices. A lot of people want to look at what choices are available, what is that I like, and where to go. So this is the agenda for day one. We are going to cover about 5 to 6 profiles in finance, talk into details about them. Day two agenda is to get to the actual stuff, which is the job search, right? Basically, a lot of people also face this problem of how to search the jobs, where to search the job. I'm not getting relevant jobs. Whenever I've registered myself to lot of job portals, but all the jobs that come to me are irrelevant. So how do you need to search, or what is that you need to do to search for a correct job? And finally, obviously, the resume, which is the most important document in terms of how your career goes. So resume, we'll talk about resume, and finally the interview process. So this is the agenda for the 2 days. We will first start off with the thing which is called as the recruitment process. Now, a lot of people would obviously know about this recruitment process already, but I still wanted to, take you through this process because it is important. Why it is important? Because for a single most reason, that it helps you plan. If you plan your stuff well, the chances of you getting into the profile is much higher. So it's basically increasing your chances of getting into those profiles. It also can segregate you from the other people who are competing for similar profiles. So you should focus on the interview process. As such, it's not a very complicated process. So if you look at how the interview or how the recruitment works, is basically, let's say there is a recruitment manager. So let's say I am working with a team and somebody from my team has resigned. So as a recruiting manager, or as the manager of the team, I need somebody for my team. So what I'll do is I will list down all the things that are required, key skill sets required for that particular job, and give that to HR. Now, when I'm listing down the requirement, it is more like a wish list, right? I write everything. I write everything possible in that. I also know when I'm writing this that sorry, I may not be able to get all of this in a single person, but yet I go ahead and write that particular in the in the requirement. Now, how is it important for you, or what you can do out of it is that when you look at a particular profile, think of it as wish list. Do not hesitate to apply if you're not matching a few of their requirements. If you are matching to the top 3 4 requirements, you should go ahead and apply for it. For instance, a lot of time these days I see people even recruiting for chartered accountants. They say that, apart from obviously your technical knowledge, I'm also expecting a lot of skills with softwares like you Python, SQL, Tableau, Power BI, all these things. Now these are requirements, and no doubt a lot of some of the profiles may require this as a primary requirement, but majority of them do not have this as a primary requirement. You should be able to segregate the two requirements: what is the primary requirement and what is not the primary requirement. If you're able to do that, then you can apply to the right set of jobs. I come across a lot of students who don't apply because it's written, so they also was asking for Python, but Python was written somewhere in the last couple of lines saying that if you know Python, it's good, or Python also is a requirement. So think of that requirement list or the job description that you get from the company as a wish list and work accordingly. Don't hesitate. What happens after I give this to the HR guy? The HR guy is one step ahead. He will also add his own 2 cents by adding requirement of communication, this and that. While not all of them will require whatever the HR guy is adding, but HR guy has to add something, right? They call it as value add. So they will add their own 2 cents to it and then post these jobs. Right. So again, when those things are coming, you should be able, if let's say we have somebody or you are somebody who is not that good with communication and you see one of the requirements as communication, you should be able to again judge whether it is really a requirement or it is just a just one more add-on point that the HR has put in. Once this is done, this is then posted onto job boards like Naukri, IM Jobs. You've got Indeed. It could be also posted on their own portal, right? Companies have their career page; they will post it there. They sometimes also send it across to recruitment agencies whom they have empaneled as a outsourcing person. So they may send it to recruitment agency, and obviously sometimes it is put onto the internal portals of the company. Like when I was with Crisil, we had a separate portal for referrals, so where they used to post the requirement and the employees could refer. Now, why is it this important that when you are targeting a particular company, you should be able to understand that what is the primary source or primary way of that company's work, or how does that company generally recruit? If you know that, for instance, I know of a company which relies mostly on the referral. And who is the person who gets the referral first is the person who gets to the point first. The reason is, as soon as this requirement is put out by the manager also tells his team that I'm looking out, and the HR also tells to the various employees in that company that we are looking out. So when so many people internally know of this, they can refer people. Right. So you should be able to understand from some historical data, a bit of analysis, if you're targeting a particular company, that you should know what is the primary way or source of their recruitment. The next is you should understand that when people give out job requirements, and if it is a good quality job, then there are hundreds of resumes that come within minutes or hours. For instance, when I was with Crisil, and when we used to post for one single equity research profile, immediately within 2 hours we used to get 300 resumes. And once it is a week, it is almost 3,000 resumes. So single position, 3,000 resumes. Even if I say on the first, if I just stick to the first resumes received in the first 3 hours, it is still 300 resumes. there is no way that the HR will be able to process all of them, right? So obviously they will find their own quick ways of filtering, and one of the easiest way of filtering is looking for keywords, right? So this also brings us to the point that when you are building the resume, this again we will talk when we will go to the resume, that keywords are key to getting you a job. So those keywords, if they are in your resume, there is a very high chance that you will at least go through the first level of filtering. A lot of these HR guys also go into portal and search for relevant candidates, right? What they do for the search is that they look out for the keywords for the search, right? So ensure that you have the right keywords which the recruiter is searching for in your resume. Now, when I say keywords, it's not just putting the keywords. For instance, financial modeling is one of the important keywords if you want to get jobs into equity research, investment banking, and related fields. Now, it does not mean that if you just write financial modeling some corner of your resume as important skills, you will be shortlisted. You may be shortlisted for the first level, but as soon as this resume is put to the requirement the manager who is asked for the requirement, he will basically reject that one if it just has a single line saying that financial modeling. Instead, you should say that, okay, I've been doing financial modeling for so many years, or I have built models for these companies, and this is what I did. If you put it across like that, there is a very high chance that you will get a further shortlisting. The next step, once they have done a quick filter, is to do one more initial round of screening, which is calling up the students, trying to understand. The HR guys will generally call, trying to fix up interview. Their objective obviously is to check communication and the expectation, right? This is what they are trying to do to get to the right candidates. Some companies also give out psychometric tests, so you should Google out and take up some psychometric test already in preparation of your interviews, right? You should take up those. Not everybody is giving psychometric test, but a lot of large companies are giving out psychometric tests. Once you are through with the first round, which is basically the call, on the call, you undergo technical round. Now, this is where you also need to have more details about each companies, right? For instance, I'll give you an example. We have a company in Hyderabad called DE Shaw. It does 7 rounds of technical interviews in a single day, right? It is an exaggerated process that they have, but obviously they have a very good filtering criteria. So what you should understand is, what are the general questions asked. In a very broad sense, I can tell you that these days most of the finance jobs that are there, the interview process is based on case studies, right? So you should be able to, or you should be ready to solve those case studies either live with them or solve it and send it across. Different companies have got their different ways, and obviously based on that, there is based on the case study, you have a interview. You should also know what are the rounds that are generally there. If you don't know about the rounds, you should typically check with the HR when they call up during this the initial screening and shortlisting process, to ask them what is the recruitment process, or what will be the process of the technical rounds and the various rounds that are there. It is a important question that you should ask, and you should be prepared. Finally, if you're through with the technical rounds, then obviously you go through the HR round, where the HR will obviously is primarily calling for some kind of salary negotiation, or trying to see if whatever they are offering is good for you or not. So that is the primary reason for that call. So you should be very clear of what you are expecting from that particular job opportunity, in terms of the salary expectation, in terms of other things that are coming along with that particular job opportunities. So you should have your set of questions ready. Obviously, sometimes they send across a offer letter and then call you, but a lot of time they will just call you initially before sending out the offer letter, because sending out the offer letter is obviously a tedious job, and if you just reject this offer letter at on the face of it, it does not make sense for them. So they will call up generally and check for your expectation. So this is how the interview process works. This also then brings us to those key questions of what did we take from this particular understanding. If I summarize, or if I just take out the crux of it, is that resume becomes a very important document for us, because that can help us understand, that can help us at least get the shortlisting done. Second is, if we know how the technical rounds are working, we can prepare for it. Third is that if we know what profiles we have applied, and what is the exact job of that particular the particular job that we have applied, what exactly has to be done, or what exactly people do in that particular job or that particular profile, then that will also help us prepare. So all this is just to ensure that you are well prepared for the interview. So at this point, I will just take a pause and check if you guys have questions with this. Any questions? That will be, we can take up right away.
So, in that, the psychometric test, what is all about, and what will be tested on that segment?
So it's basically trying to understand various aspects of a person, right? Trying to understand whether you are a team player or not. How do you take decisions? Are you somebody who takes decision, very quickly, or out of rage, or out of stuff? So they have this typical questions. If you look at those psychometric test questions, you will understand. They will give you situations like, this is the situation, and what will you do in this situation? And there is no right or wrong answers.
It's all about the personality and attitude
Correct.
checking.
Correct. That is what they basically try and do.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
So yeah, you cannot really prepare for it, but what you can do is at least ensure that you've taken a few psychometric tests, so that you have broadly the idea.
It's more of impulsive, right? Not a planned thing. It's like
Okay, right, exactly. It's not something that you can really plan for or prepare for, but if you've taken one or two psychometric tests, you will understand how it works.
sure, sure, sure. Understood. Thank you.
Okay. Any other question that before I get into knowing the profiles that we are going to talk about in this session?
The case studies will be based on
Sorry,
case studies
case
will be
studies will
based
be
on
based on. See, case studies will be based on, like, if for example, if you are going for a equity research job, right? So case studies typically ask you to do forecasting and valuation.
okay.
If you go for an FP&A kind of a role, then they give out case studies where they give you data, and they ask you to build a variance analysis. So the kind of case study that you will get will depend on the kind of profile that you are applying for. Okay, I'm going to show you some example of case study tomorrow, so that you've got an idea of what kind of case studies generally come in an interview process.
Yeah, okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah,
Sir, as you said that if any opening is there, manager will inform to their colleagues for them.
correct.
Sir, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Tell me.
Yes, sir. So, like HR is posting something. Referral will be taking more important than applying for the job, sir. which is
Correct. So
better?
then,
Which is
so obviously referral is the best way of getting to the profile. There's no doubt about it. But the challenge is that if you're a fresher, right, how do you get referrals?
yeah,
That is,
some
so
known
if
persons like that.
correct. So who will refer you? We are also going to talk about how to work with the referrals in tomorrow's session. But not everybody is going to refer you, right? They don't know you. Suddenly, let's say, currently,
Yeah,
we are interacting, but I don't know you as such, right? And if I have a particular
yes, sir.
opportunity with you, and you say that, can you refer? I would obviously, think about it. Not necessarily refer
Yeah,
or
sir.
refer, but I will think before doing that. So referral generally works when you are when you know people, only then the referral works. So you need to make your network big. So when we say making your network big, does not mean that I send connection requests to thousands of people and whoever has accepted knows me. So you need to work over a period of time to get to that. You said you are currently in your first year of MBA, right? So you have enough time to
Yes,
build
sir.
network for in the next 1.5 years.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, this is a key thing that is there. Again, a lot of people come to us, specifically those who are coming, who are either fresher or they are stuck in a particular profile for a long time and they're looking at moving away from this. That what should I look for, or what should I apply, or what kind of jobs should I look for? So what you have to understand is that there is a balancing stuff. One, obviously, you've got the profiles, whether you like the profiles or not, and second is whether you are ready for those profiles or not, right? These are two factors that will weigh whether you get into a particular job or not. So at this point of time, I'm just focused on telling you what profiles are there, and a bit of understanding of who are the ones who will be who should be able to apply, and who will be the ones who will be preferred for that particular kind of a profile. Okay, so for each of the profiles that we will talk what they do, what skills are required for them, and then once you get into those profile, are there exit routes available? Because there are some profiles where exit routes are not there, and it is very challenging to get. And finally, we'll also talk about job availability for that particular profile. Right. These are some of the profiles. We are not going to discuss all of them. We're going to discuss about 4 to 5 of them in the session today. Okay. What I'll do is I'll talk about these profiles. I know, you would have done your own research or understanding of this profile. So at the end of each profile, I'll take a few minutes, a pause, and take your questions at that point of time. Okay. The first one is investment banking. Obviously, everybody would have heard about investment banking, or anybody who wants to start a career in finance will always first talk about the investment banking profile, right? Um, it is the most sought after profiles in finance that is there. What does an investment banker do, or what does an investment bank do? To just give you very briefly, the banking or the investment banks do three kinds of work. One is help you raise funds, right? So it could be an IPO, it could be raising money through private equity, or through other methods. It could also be raising money through debt. So it helps the companies to raise debt, or sorry, raise funds. Second thing that they do is they do advisory for M&A, mergers and acquisition. Right? At what price you should buy, how should you negotiate, what are the things that you have to look at when you are acquiring another company or when you are selling your company. So the M&A, they help you do mergers and acquisition, helping sell your company or helping buy another company. Finally, they also have this advisory business where they could help people, or they could help companies understand what would be the best way of let's say restructuring their current loans, right? What would be the best options of raising debt or equity? From where should we look at those? So they do a lot of these advisory business. So these are three important things that an investment banker or an investment bank does. Why is it most sought after profile? Because obviously it is one of the or the highest paying profile in finance. So most of the people at the top of a particular college or top of particular qualification, they want to finance qualification, they want to get into this profile. But what you also need to understand is that there are various parts to the investment banker, right? There is this front office. So typically what I talked about, most of the cream work of these three things, most of the cream work would be done by the front office. The middle office guys are the ones who are supporting this particular function, right? So the middle office guys will be supporting the front office guys. The back office guys are just focused on certain operations, right? For example, I'll start off with the back office. So what a back office operation will include: investment bank, a large investment bank, let's say a Goldman Sachs or a JP Morgan or Morgan Chase, they do a lot of transaction on a daily basis, right? The operations guys will be looking at settling those transactions and doing the back end, absolute back end part of it. They are not involved in any kind of analytical work. Their job is just to ABCD. They keep doing the same thing again and again. So this is one reason that obviously, because you keep doing the same thing, your growth in such profiles are low, right? Also, what happens is the largest chunk of investment banking job opportunities available today in India would be into the back office operations. But this is a place where you ideally do not want to be, or most of the people would not want to be, because it is not the real investment bank that we talk about. It's not the glamorous profile of investment banking that we generally talk about. So you do this process oriented job. The number of profiles very high and the growth is very low. From here, one of the challenging aspect is there are very few exit opportunities. So if you get into such kind of a profile, you should ensure that you come out of such profile in 1 year or maximum 2 years. Because if you spend a lot of time into this profile, then the only way to keep growing is just to keep growing in that particular profile. You cannot move out from there, and the growth opportunities are less, because what happens is, I said, there are large chunk of such people hired. So let's say 200 people are hired for a back office operation, fresh graduates. Now out of that 200, only 3 4 5 can actually go and become managers. Not everybody can become a manager, so they have to find some exit routes. And as I said, the exit routes are not so easy to find. I mentioned that also. What you can try and do if you are into the back office, obviously from the back office move to the middle office, right? But the skill set required in the middle office is very different from the skill set required in the back office. So it is challenging, but if you plan it in a year or maximum 2 years of joining, there is possibility of moving from here to here. The other thing that you can look at is operational roles in investment, in the general banking. So banking also has got some operational roles. There you can move out. But so one of the problems with this back office job opportunity is there are very few exit routes, and the exit routes also are not easy to get. From the back office, if you look at to the middle office, right? The middle office guys are doing a bit of analytical work, or I would say a fairly large amount of analytical work. It is typically a desk job, but you're not interacting with the ultimate clients. So you would be typically interacting with the front office guys, right? So the kind of profile that you are doing some analytical work. So that's the good part. The not so good part is that you're not interacting with the clients, right? So that is there. But middle office is the best place for people who are not coming from top MBA colleges or those who are not CA rankers. Middle office is a good starting point, right? Uh, in terms of what are the growth prospects, obviously you can become a sector expert. So as you work in the middle office, I am talking the investment banking only from the aspect of the research part of it. I'm not getting into all parts of investment banking. So you can become a sector lead if you are tracking a particular sector for 5-7 years. Then you can become a sector expert, and then over a period of time you can be a sector expert. From here, where can you move out? So there is fairly good amount of opportunities to move out. One of the things, the easiest thing to move out is into FP&A, because again, the skills that are acquired here are easily transportable, right? It is used in FP&A. You can obviously try and move from here to here with some additional push for yourself. Some of the people who are working in the middle office would typically want to do CFA, and once they complete CFA, they try and move to the front office. Though CFA is not the only thing that can take you there. Obviously, you can move from here if you are working with a decent company. You can work in a small consulting firm also, and from here there is also an opportunity to get to corporates. If you go, there are a lot of this investor relation profile. So the work that is done in the investor relation profile has a lot of overlap skill set from this middle office. So from there you can try and push yourself into those corporate finance profile. The front office obviously is the best kind of a profile that is available. What you typically do is obviously the analytical part, but you also interact with the clients, right? So let's say a company has come to you for mergers and acquisition. You will deal with that. You will take them through the complete process. You are the face of the company for that. So people in the front office obviously are interacting with the clients. They also explain to the clients all the things that is done by the middle office and how it will work out. Obviously, they themselves do some of the things that the middle office guys do. They will do all the cream stuff here, and then a part of that is outsourced to the middle office. This is, as I said, one of the best profiles in finance available, the front office investment banking. You would typically want to grow into these profiles only. There are not many exit opportunities because it is such a good profile. So exit opportunities, you can look at consulting roles, right, which are of similar level to an investment banking, or you can get into the finance department of a particular company at a high position of let's say CFOs, or maybe a couple of point below, a couple of levels below the CFO, and look at the company strategy and all this stuff. So this is what is investment banking. I told you this is the largest number of profiles available, but I would typically not want to stay in this back office profile for more than a couple of years. Middle office is where we would like to start typically if you're not coming from a top MBA colleges, or you're not a CA ranker. Then you will typically start in the middle office, and your work will be to push yourself from middle office to the front office. So this is about the investment banking profile. If you look at the market in India in terms of job opportunities available, the largest chunk of opportunity that is available is outsourced, right? So it will fall in this or this bracket. Our own investment banks in India, the domestic investment banks, are comparatively small. There are not so many deals happening. So most of the investment banking deals that are happening are abroad, and there are companies, all of them set up their own, either their own outsourcing units here or outsource to some third party. So outsourcing is the largest chunk of opportunity available, and majority of the opportunity will be available in the back office, and a fair amount of opportunity in the middle office. The front office role opportunities available are also less because our own domestic investment banking is not that great. In terms of skill set required, what are the skill set required? Now this is the skill set required in terms of somebody who is getting into that profile, who is a fresher and getting into that profile. The requirement could change as we grow into that particular profile. So what is the must have skills, or those skills that the companies definitely look out when they are hiring? You should be able to build models. Financial models is what you should be able to build. You should be very clear with your concept of valuation, both the DCF valuation and the relative valuation. So this is must have skills. Obviously in an investment bank you also build pitch books and write reports, so that is a skill set that is also required. But when you're starting fresh, not everybody is expecting that you will be able to do the writing work. So not all the companies are asking you for the writing stuff. Apart from that, if you really are keen to getting into this, and you can get access to some database like Capital IQ, Bloomberg. It is very difficult to get access to these because they are very costly, but if you get access to them, then you learn these database. If you can't learn them, it is okay. It's not a must have stuff in those profiles. So these are the skill set that you will require to get your first job into the middle office or the front office. I am not talking about the back office. So this is where I will quickly stop. I have one more slide on investment banking, but I'll quickly stop here and check with people for questions.
So what's the last thing we're speaking about? Capital IQ. What is that?
Basically, there are databases, right? These are databases which give you information about companies. They give you information about commodities and all those things. So S&P Capital IQ, it is a database which has got data for so many years for thousands of companies, actually lakhs of companies. And all this database, you should be able to access that database and retrieve information from that database.
Okay, understood. So it's like database of the all the companies which is listed
Correct.
around this. Okay,
Correct. Not
and
just listed, they also have private company data.
data. Okay, so the primary skill set which are discussing about that building models, right?
Correct.
So this is like an financial modeling. So we will build a models to fix that company to came out with something. So it's like a merger or demerger or acquisition, right?
Correct.
So
Ultimate
will
purpose is valuation.
valuation, yeah, valuation, so that that client will be satisfied with that models, so they will execute that, right?
So no,
So
you have to understand it like this. The investment banks are not just building models. See, you will build the model, but you are the one who also have to get the deal done.
okay,
If you get your valuation too low, then so let's say you are helping out a company to sell their business, right? If you come out with a very low valuation, the company will not accept, right? If you come
yeah,
out with a very high valuation, the other company who wants to buy will not accept.
okay,
See, it kind of it's not just satisfying one client, right? Because ultimate satisfaction will come only once you receive the money, right? I can say that today my company skill grad is, let's say, millions of dollars, but there has to be some buyer for it, right?
yeah,
So,
valuation should be reasonable
right, it should be reasonable. There are multiple um,
factors.
right, and multiple ways of valuation company. So there are three ways that we do. One is obviously the DCF valuation. The
Okay,
other one is relative valuation, which has got two parts or two ways of doing relative valuation, what we call as comparable company analysis and comparable transaction analysis.
understood. It's a
So,
FFM, it's close near to FMV, fair market.
right, it is not the fair market value. Generally, we say whatever is available in the market, right? But here
Yeah,
we're talking typically of companies which are not listed. So to find out fair market value is very difficult.
okay,
If you have listed company, you have a market value, right? Clearly. that market
Yeah,
value, and then that gives you at least a fair amount of idea of what will be the value of the company. But we're talking about private companies,
yeah, not listed.
not listed. So you will have to, they rely a lot on this valuation,
Relative valuation. Okay,
relative
what's
and
the
DCF.
DCF? DCF is a primary. Yeah, that is what's the third thing, sir?
The relative valuation has got two components.
Two parts: comparable transaction and a
And
comparable company.
company. So basically, you look at similar listed company and find out what is the valuation of those, and typically try and replicate that for your own company with some adjustments. For example, simplest example, this is, um, let's say the PE ratio, right? So
Yeah.
let's say you are evaluating a company which is into the IT sector, and that company has to be sold. So what you do is find out related companies in the IT sector, find out the PE for that particular group of companies, right? The list or comparable companies, and find out an average valuation, PE
Okay.
ratio, and say that, okay, my company will also have a similar PE ratio.
Okay.
And based on that, you do the valuation. This is called as comparable company valuation. Comparable transaction valuation is to find out if there are similar companies sold earlier and at what value or at what pricing they were sold.
Okay.
And
The
based
last.
on, not the immediate last, you could look at multiple such transactions, because it may not be easy to get one company which is exactly comparable to your company.
Okay, understood. Okay, it's based on the history, based on the industry specific history.
Right.
Okay.
Industry specific history related to mergers and acquisition.
Related to mergers and acquisition. Okay,
Correct.
because we are selling one company, right?
Correct. Buying or selling, either way, it will work out.
Either
So,
way, it will put
in fact, what happens is most of the time there will be investment bank with the buying company, and there will be a separate investment bank with a selling company.
okay. So the two merchant banks will be involved in that.
Right. We call them investment bank, not merchant bank, because typically when we say merchant bank, we are talking about companies which are going public. For them, the work done is basically by the merchant banks.
Okay, investment banks. Okay, understood. Okay.
Sir,
Yeah.
sir, actually, I'm from engineering background. Now I am into MBA finance. So,
Hmm.
where to start, sir, for this investment banking? Like first step, second step, like
I
that.
think the first step, if are you done with your MBA finance, or you're currently pursuing MBA finance?
I'm first year of MBA, sir.
First year of MBA. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So basically, the first thing that you should target for is to get this skill set.
Yes, sir.
Once you've got this skill set, then the idea is to get to some kind of internship in a relevant company.
Oh, okay, sir.
So obviously the internship will also not come, because everybody wants to get into such kind of internship, right? So this could be your way of segregating yourself from the others.
Okay, sir.
Now I've got a couple of profiles from various sources. Now this is the operations profile that I'm talking about, right? So typically some of them will just say at the top, if you see, it just says investment banking, but as you get inside, you see that it is just one part of operations which is related to corporate actions. Corporate actions typically mean dividend, mergers and acquisition, or any other kind of such related stuff. So you will just, in such a profile, what you will be doing is looking at various companies, seeing whatever corporate actions have happened for that particular company, take that and put that into a system. Your work is done. Somebody else will use that data to analyze, right? So this is the kind of profile that we would typically not want you to start with. But if you don't have choices, you can start here and focus on getting out of such profile within 1 to 2 years. This is the kind of profile we would typically want people to be in. Um, This one does not require a lot of experience. It says that familiarity with databases. Now this is also something that you have to understand. Now it is saying 1 year of experience, and it is asking for databases. Now very few people will have access to such databases in the first year, right? So you have to understand that this requirement is not one of the primary requirements, right? So that's what you will have to look at. What you will do, you see here, you will execute transaction for M&A. You will do valuation, see trading comparable. This is also called as the company comparable, comparable company transaction, comparable company valuation. This is also called as trading comparable. So you do industry analysis and similar stuff. So this is about investment banking, most sought after profile, but not everybody can get into it.
Sorry, I was lost for a few minutes. Just go through what was happening. Few minutes. Sorry.
So what I said is that this is the kind of profile, right? Investment banking operations, right? At the top of it, when you just search investment banking, it throws up this. When you click inside and see, it will show you as operation. This is not typically which I want you to apply for. You
Okay,
should
understood.
apply for this only if you're not getting a relevant job, and not stick with this profile for more than 1 to 2 years, maximum 2 years, not more than that. If you stay there for more than that, it will be very difficult to move out from there.
Okay, it will typically fix in that back office sector, back office
Correct.
segment.
Correct.
Understood. Thank you. Okay. Yeah.
And then this one is the one that I was talking typically that you should apply for or target for. You see M&A support you are doing. This is also, this is middle office. Okay. This is not going to be front office because it says help. You are not the one who is doing all the stuff. You are going to help out. So this is the middle office kind of profile. And you see here, it says familiarity with databases. Now, if you don't have familiarity, you should still go ahead and apply for it, right?
Okay. Okay.
Because if you see, it is asking for 1 year of experience, right? A 1 year guy, familiarity with database is not possible, not always possible. Very few times it will be possible.
Okay.
Uh, sir,
Yes, yes,
sir, you told about a CA whose non-rank holder can get into middle office.
correct.
Does rank matter?
It does. Because you see, Abhi, may know your name?
Padma.
Parima. Parima, the point is that you see like this. Let's say you are in a particular investment bank. Okay. Let's say you are recruiting people for front office.
Okay.
Now, when you post a job opportunity, you will get thousands of people,
Huh.
right? How will you select them?
Uh,
What will you do? I've got 1,000 resume, out of which 200 CAs are there.
uh, we'll screen the resume based
Sorry,
on resume screening.
resume screening, right? So what will you screen in the resume? First is, can you for one
Finding the
single
best
profile,
people.
for one single profile, can you go through 300 resumes?
No.
Very difficult, right? So what will you do? You will filter. What you said is screening. So my best way of screening is, there are, out of this 200, there are 5 rank holders.
Yeah.
So they become my top priority. So first I will call them and do an interview with them. If they are not good enough or not fitting into my stuff, then I go to the others.
Yeah. Okay, sir.
That is where I was saying at the start, right? There has to be a balancing act. You should know what the profile is and what the requirement is, and you should also know where you are, and not
Yeah.
aspire for something which is not possible or which is very, very difficult. Instead, you start somewhere in between and then you try and push yourself up. I am not saying that you cannot get into front office. What I said is, if you are a non-rank holder, initially getting into front office is impossible or very difficult.
Yeah. Okay, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Now, the next profile, obviously, again, a lot of people would know about it, but I will quickly talk about it. This is, as analytical, or you do similar kind of stuff that you do in investment banking here. I'm just comparing the middle office there and the middle office here. So you do kind of same kind of work, but this is less glorified or less known compared to investment banking. It is still well known, but compared to investment banking, it is less. Now, in the equity research, what you will typically do is look at public listed securities and do analysis of that, and then ultimate objective is to give out recommendation or put money into that. So the equity research is divided into two parts, the buy side and the sell side. So what is this buy side stuff? Is basically, let's say if you are a mutual fund, right? If there is a mutual fund and it wants to invest and it has got its own in-house research team, which does all the analysis and then says where to invest that money, that is typically called as buy side. So most of the large mutual funds, insurance companies will have their own internal team doing this, right? So those guys who are doing this are called as buy side. The buy side guys are rated slightly higher than the sell side guys because they are dealing with people's money. They do a much more deeper research than the sell side guys. What does the sell side guys do? So this is typically a research company or a research wing of a particular brokerage house, right? So what they will do is they will give out research reports to clients, and then based on that, the clients will trade. When they trade, whatever brokerage comes, obviously these guys get a portion of that brokerage, right? So this is not as rigorous as this, because here you are directly managing or responsible for managing people's money, and anything goes wrong, obviously the people are not happy. Right here, it is more about giving out recommendation. Not that it is taken lightly, but here you are compared to the buy side. This is comparatively a less amount of research that the sell side goes. In fact, a lot of sell side guys also cater to the buy side by providing their own research reports to the buy side people. Which one is better? Obviously, the buy side is better. I have talked about so much about buy side, so buy side is better. But if you are getting, even if you're getting into the sell side, because again, buy side becomes very close to an investment banking, right? Whatever you do in investment banking, you do pretty much similar stuff here. So obviously the cream guys or the cream would go here, and then the sell side is open for a lot more people than the buy side. What are your exit options? Again, this is one of the best profiles. You would typically want to grow into this profile and become a fund manager, right? If you still want to exit from buy side, then consulting roles are available, corporate finance roles are available. When I'm talking about a buy side or a front office investment bank, I don't talk about going from here to a sell side or going down. I'm just saying that what can keep you at that same level or take you up. The sell side got slightly more opportunities in terms of where they can move. Obviously, from the sell side, you would typically want to move to the buy side. Not a very easy stuff, but not impossible. A good place from sell side to move to is FP&A. If you want to exit sell side, if you don't like that and don't want to do a lot of this work, then you can move to FP&A. You can move to buy side. You can move to consulting roles. Obviously, compared to buy side, it is more difficult here to get consulting role. And finally, you can move to the corporate finance department of any company also. These are the exit opportunities. Even within this, we have a lot of outsourcing work that comes up. Our own research in India, nobody wants to pay for equity research. So our own sell side research is very, very small. So number of opportunity is also very small. The buy side opportunities are there, fairly good amount of opportunities are there, because you've got all these mutual fund insurance company and they want to have internal teams to do all the research. You've got a decent amount of buy side opportunities available. But again, this goes to the cream of the cream. The sell side, most of the sell side work that will be coming or that is available is outsourced, right? So you are sitting here doing research for companies, let's say listed in Europe or US, or some other country. So that is the largest category of jobs that is available. To give you a perspective, when I was working with Crisil, I was into the outsourcing sell side stuff. What skill set are required? You will see that the profiles that I am talking about have got similar kind of skill set requirement, plus minus small things. So the skill set requirement here is very similar to what is required in investment banking. I'm not going to talk about each one of them separately, but this is what it is. Tell me if you have questions related to equity research. I will be more than happy to take that.
The databases, data collection, all this data analysis are done by data scientists.
No, see, data scientists will be doing different kind of work in this one. I am talking only about financial data. A data scientist could be working on any kind of data. And typically, they will not work with data for one company, two company, 5, 10 company. They will work with thousands of companies' data, even if they are working with the finance data. So,
Okay.
to that extent, it is different from that.
Uh, So then, is there any specialized people who does on only finance?
Is there any specialized?
People like who does research on only finance
Right. So these guys,
analysis?
the equity research, investment and banking, all these guys are doing the same thing. They're looking at this. Now, there is also another set of profile that is available called as financial analytics,
Okay.
or the data science that you were talking about, right? The data scientists
Yeah.
who are focused only on the finance department or the finance area. So I will cover that profile also in a few minutes.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I've pulled out a couple of job profiles that are there. One of them is from buy side. One of them is a sell side stuff, right? So basically, this one is the buy side stuff. This one is the sell side stuff. What one more difference between the buy side and sell side is that typically the sell side guys will specialize in a particular sector. So let's say I worked a lot of my career, initial career, I worked with the European media sector. Right, so somebody will work in telecom, somebody will work with pharma, some will work with oil and gas. So the sell side guys have got sector expertise, or they focus only on one particular sector, while the buy side guys are generally not sticking to one sector. They will typically work with 3 to 5 different sectors, and some of them work with all the sectors. So they do not have liking or disliking for any particular sector. But sell side guys will focus and become experts in a particular sector. That is why some of the buy side guys use the sell side research reports if they feel that particular analyst has got a lot of sector expertise. So that was about equity research that is there. The third profile that I will talk about today is credit research. This is comparatively lesser known. And when I am talking about credit research, I am actually including 2, 3 different profiles here. I'm including the fixed income research. I'm also including the one which is related to the ratings, right? Corporate ratings or the credit rating agencies. So I'm combining all of them to one set of profile. This also includes the credit manager or credit profiles that is available with the banking sector. This is one of the fastest growing profile. This is less known, but one of the fastest growing profile in core finance or pure finance. I can tell about today. It is the fastest growing. What is that you do? Obviously you do the same stuff that the equity research guy would be doing, but your focus is from the debt perspective. That guy is looking at the company from the equity valuation perspective. You are looking at from the debt perspective, whether the company will have enough money to pay for its loan and for the interest. So that is credit research. There are fixed income research in India. We don't have a lot of fixed income listed fixed income securities. So there is very little fixed income research that happens in India. But there is a lot of fixed income research happens in the developed market, and a large chunk of that outsourcing is coming to India. The credit research also is there both with domestic firms and with the outsourcing firms that are there. Here the focus is to look at which securities to buy, when to buy, and when to sell. That is the idea for the credit research or fixed income research. The credit rating or the corporate banking, here you are trying to understand a company in terms of whether you should give them loan or not, right? Or what interest rate should you charge for giving them loan. Uh, as I said, it is less known, so not everybody knows about the credit research or the fixed income research or the credit or corporate banking profile. Um, what you can do is get into that profile and grow to the head of research for that particular profile. From here, there is obviously easy exit to other banking route. If you're working with credit research or fixed income research specifically, you can also get into the investment banking, right? Because one of the things that investment banks do is help raise money, right? The debt part of it could be taken care, and you could be in that particular team which focuses on debt. Uh, from the credit rating, corporate banking, obviously, if you are working on credit rating, your exit route is to move towards banking. If you are working in corporate banking and evaluating companies, large companies, you can also get into one of the niche profile, which is project finance. Now, project finance is a profile where you help a particular company to raise funds through debt, right? Either from a bank or from some other source, typically from a bank. So project finance is one cream profile that is available that you can get into once you have worked a few years in corporate banking. And when I say corporate banking, I'm talking about that portion of the bank which deals with giving funds to large companies, not small companies, SMEs or MSMEs. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about large companies. Skills requirement, again, building model is there. One of the things that is understood in all the profiles that I am talking about is that they expect you to be analytical. Without proving that you are analytical, you will not be able to mm, go through any of the profile. So you should be able to build models, write reports, because report writing becomes an important part here. Initially, it is good to have, but over a period of time, it is must have. Data collection and extraction is not to that same extent that you do in equity research, but is still there. So this is what I had to talk about for credit research. Tell me if you have a question on credit research.
Sir, you told about corporate banking.
Hmm,
So corporate banking and investment banking are the same.
they're different. So
Both
corporate
use
banking
them
is
for raise
basically
funds.
correct, both. But say, let's say in an investment bank, what you do is you're sitting outside the bank. You are not a bank. Okay, the word we use is investment bank, but you are not a bank. You are not having your own funds to give out. What you do is you reach out to the investors and ask them to buy securities. In a corporate banking division, you are sitting inside the bank. You are the person who has got the authority to sanction the loan based on
Yeah,
profit. So that is the difference between corporate banking and investment banking.
yeah, okay, sir.
So two kinds of profile now you see here. It says credit analyst, credit executive, credit risk manager, but majority of the work that you do here is related to sales, right? And that is why you see the salary levels are also comparatively lower, right? So I would not be wanting to get into this kind of profile unless obviously there are no choices. I would not want to get into these profiles. This is the kind of profile that I would want to get into. This is an outsourcing profile, where you are going to do for the North American market, and you do all the stuff that you do. So you build models, look at the KPIs, do the sensitivity analysis, look at the 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 cash flow profile of the company, and then make a decision here. So this is the kind of profile that would be wanting to get into. Any questions on credit? Okay. If you have questions anytime, you can just ask. Now, the next one is FP&A. Now, this is one profile that, as a chartered accountant, if you are a chartered accountant or a chartered accountant student also, this is one profile where you have a clear advantage over an MBA finance. It is a finance related profile, but it requires understanding of accounting. And because of that, as a chartered accountant or a partially qualified chartered accountant, you have an advantage compared to, let's say, an MBA finance, right? So typically, what you will be doing here, budgeting, forecasting, variance analysis is what you do. You are not a typical accountant, or you're not doing typical accounting entry related stuff. You are, once the accounting is done, then you look at the data and look at what was the budgets, what was the forecast, and where we stand from the budgets, forecast to variance analysis, write out commentary of why the variances are there, put that commentary to the top management. Then the top management makes strategies, different strategies based on that, and then it asks you to put those strategies into the number and send across to the relevant team for execution purpose. So this is a profile where um, you can utilize your understanding of accounting and finance, and obviously work into the finance department. There are kinds of job opportunity available. One is pure play FP&A, wherein you just do FP&A, and then there are profiles which are reporting plus FP&A. Most of the large companies will have a pure play FP&A. And then obviously the smaller companies, because they cannot hire so many people, they may go for a reporting plus FP&A. Both profiles are good. If you are doing FP&A, if you are even doing it for small companies, you will be able to push yourself to the large ones. The good thing is that it is not just the outsourced market that is available, it is both domestic and the outsourced market that is available for you to look at. If you look at, as I said, for most of the profiles in investment banking and equity research would be outsourced. Here you have got a good mix of domestic and outsourced profiles. uh, what is your growth path or exit path? Obviously, start with FP&A, and you can go to all the way to become a CFO of the company. If you don't really want to get into that, you can move to investor relations, or you can move to consulting roles also, right? The kind of because you are involved in the strategy, right? Not directly, obviously you're not making the strategies, but you are kind of a mediator between the ones who are creating strategy and the ones who are going to implement the strategy. You are in between them, so you get the understanding of all of it. So consulting roles are also possible from FP&A. Why should you go for it? I mean, as a CA, if you're looking at as a CA, then you have a distinct advantage here. You should target this profile and get into that. It is also one of the fastest growing, along with the credit research and credit analytics analyst profile. This is one of the fastest growing profiles today available in India. Skill set, pretty much the same thing, but here you need to also have a strong accounting background. So that is one thing. And then here presentation and communication becomes quite important, because you are somebody who will be communicating with different departments. So communication becomes a important stuff, so it is in the must have category. In terms of good to have, obviously some technical skills like data visualization with Power BI or Tableau is a good one. Data extraction, because you do a lot of analysis with the data. If you are able to understand how to extract data using SQL or some other language, that is the good thing. But this is not must have, it is good to have. As you grow over a period of time with this profile, obviously you will get into project management and people management. So this is about FP&A, financial planning and analysis. If you have question, I will be more than happy to take up.
Sir, can you explain about variance analysis?
You want me to explain about variance analysis? So it's may know what is your qualification?
I'm doing my
That
first year of BCom.
BCom. Okay. So variance analysis is basically, what happens is in a company, you have a plan, right? What is a plan? So what we are going to do in the next month, next quarter, next year, next few years,
Okay.
they already plan for it, right? And they put out numbers. For example, the simplest example is that for the next year, we target to have a revenue of, let's say, 500 crores. Our current revenue is 425 crores, and next year it will be 500 crores. So for that, you make a plan, right? Saying how you will achieve that 500 crores. Now, when the this is your plan. Now, every month, what will happen? The numbers will come out, right? How much you are able to achieve,
Achieve it. Yeah.
right? Now, if you are not able to achieve it, you find out reasons why you are not able to achieve. That
Okay.
reason is called as variance analysis. For example, the simplest reason could be I was expecting to sell 1 lakh units of this in this month, but I was able to sell only 95,000 units.
Yeah.
So I sold 5,000 units less. That is a volume variance. I was
Okay.
actually looking at selling these units at $100, but I was able to sell at $102.
Hmm.
So this is a positive stuff, but it is still a variance, right? I targeted for 100, I'm able to do 102.
Yeah.
So this is called as price variance. And then
Okay.
do the total variance, find out volume into price, how much is the total difference from what you were targeting to what you have achieved.
What we have achieved.
Correct. That is the variance.
Yeah. Okay, sir.
Okay. So what kind of profiles are you going to look at? Obviously, the kind of profiles that you're going to look at in FP&A is pure FP&A, and then you could have a reporting plus FP&A, right? So this is a reporting plus FP&A kind of a profile, and this is a pure sorry. sorry, this is a this is reporting plus FP&A, and this is pure FP&A, right? So you have both sets of profiles available. Both have their advantages, disadvantages, but both of them are growing currently in the market. So you can target, and I don't feel that in the next 2 to 5 years a lot is going to change here. Obviously, the requirement will keep changing, but I think we are there for a lot of growth in the FP&A profile. Any question on FP&A? Okay, we will then move to the next one, which is financial analytics. And this is not a different profile. Okay, a lot of people think that financial analytics is a different profile, but I look at it more like as a as a requirement which is getting into all finance related jobs, right? So you may not have separate profiles, a lot of separate profiles available for financial analytics, but the guy who is doing FP&A is also now required to do a bit of analytics. The guy who was doing equity research is also now required to do a financial analytics. The guy who has got experience with investment banking is also now required to do a bit of analytics in their own profile. So for me, this is not a separate profile that is available. What you typically do, somebody was talking about data scientist. So this is a data scientist role, but the focus is only on the financial data, not any other data that is there. So what you're trying to do is find pattern in large data sets and then use those patterns for some business advantage or business profits. In terms of profiles that are available, like I said, there are not many profiles available here because it is still very, very nascent. And I don't feel that in the long term, this will be a separate profile. It will get integrated with a lot of other profiles. So everywhere, like, earlier when we started with computers, laptops, only a few people used to have laptops, or the expectation was there will be a computer operator separately and that person will operate the computers. Everybody else will keep doing their work in pen paper. Anything that they require, they'll ask the computer operator to do. Today, the computer or the laptops are basic necessity for any jobs. Similarly, financial analytics will become basic necessity for any job in the future. In terms of where you can find opportunities, you can find opportunities with financial market related companies which are into product or services. There are a lot of fintech companies that are there. They may hire financial analytics guys. And then obviously, as I said, this is the largest chunk where you have got profiles which are integrated with other finance profiles. Where you can move, or you can obviously from this to move to the CFO roles. Ultimately, that is the goal over a period of time. Or you just get into a data science role, which is a pure play data science or analytics role. Why should you be looking for it? Obviously, everybody is talking about it as the future. Right? This is about the future, and this is a profile which is definitely going to be there in the future. My only understanding is that it may not be an isolated profile. It will get integrated with a lot of other profiles. Now, this is where it is challenging because here you need to have, apart from the finance knowledge or the domain knowledge that you have, you also need to have technical understanding of tools like Python or Power BI or Tableau, SQL. These kind of technical tools, you should be able to use them. You should be able to know, you should be able to do some bit of coding. So if you just give me a minute. Okay. So in terms of if you have got background knowledge of coding, that is something that is quite helpful. uh, as you grow, obviously, this is one profile which will keep evolving very fast, so you would be required to adapt very fast, and as newer technology come in, you should be able to adapt to those newer technologies that are there. I could only find one particular profile which was purely related to financial analytics. After a lot of search, I was able to find one. But this is typically from the strategy perspective, right? At a very high level. So to get into such profile, you should have at least 5 to 7 years, of experience. So pure play financial analytics profile are not generally available to the finance student at this point of time. Any questions here? Okay. So I'm assuming no questions. This is the, I think, the last profile that we will be covering for today. Um, yes, this is the last profile that we'll be covering for today. So what is this a private equity? So a private equity, basically, this is a company which invests in unlisted securities, right? It buys or sells securities, buys security for companies which are not listed. They put money into startups, or companies which are at a growth stage. So private equity guys are doing that. There are a lot of profiles available in private equity, which has got similar kind of work profile that is there in a normal equity research profile. But obviously, there are differences. It's not completely the same things. Uh, i- so when I say private equity, I am actually including the venture capitalist and the family offices all into this. I'm not talking just about private equity. I'm talking about all other similar related profiles. So what are you going to do here? Find out investment opportunities and put the money there. So it is typically what a buy side guy will do, right? A buy side equity research guy also does the same thing, but they do it for listed company. You will be doing it for private companies. In terms of available opportunities, large private equity firms are there, venture capitalist firms are there, family offices are there, right? There are large family offices available. For example, simple example is like the Hero Motocorp is there, right? The first family, or the family which owns the company, they also have a separate investment company, which their own family office companies, which are investing in other companies, right? They could be investing in startups, small companies also. So both sets of domestic and outsourced are available. Also, you have got opportunities with small private equity firms, which may be location centric, or which are doing on a particular industry. Those private equity boutique firms are also there, and they are mostly domestic, and it is easier to get into this. Now, private equity is as difficult as a equity research buy side. So this is what is the profile that you work on, and places where you can get. What you can become, or where you can grow. Obviously, you can start at the analyst level and grow to the partner level. So private equities typically are LLPs, registered as LLP. So you can become the partner of those private equity. You From private equity, there is a lot of opportunity to shift to consulting role. This also is one place where a lot of people, after taking experience with private equity, set up their own firms, right? For me, it is as good as investment banking or buy side equity research, but similarly, it is challenging to get into those profiles. But um, compared to, let's say, investment banking or equity research, buy side equity research, it is slightly easier to get into this, at least with the boutique firms, smaller firms. Skill set is the same thing. Okay, if you look at the skill set again, the all the profiles that I have spoken about have got similar skill sets, right? Financial modeling is one common thing. Apart from that, valuation becomes also one common thing, except for one or two profiles. Communication presentation becomes important in some of the profiles. Here, in a private equity, getting sector expertise or some understanding of multiple sectors could be your advantage of getting into this. So, for example, when I did my articleship as a chartered accountant, I worked on a lot of different kinds of companies in different industry. So that gave me exposure to multiple sectors. So if you have such kind of exposure to multiple sectors, it could be easier to get into such profile. One of the key things that is required, I did not talk about it when we spoke about investment banking or maybe buy side equity research, but I'm talking about here is networking. So as you grow into this profile, networking becomes very important, because on one side you are networking with investors, people who will put their money, and on the other side you are networking with companies where you can put the money. So these investors will give you the money, and then you have to deploy the money in the companies. So this is very important as you grow into the profile. So in terms of the kind of job opportunities available here, you will see here, they typically ask you for some private equity or investment banking. So as I said, kind of similar profiles, or the work you do is very similar. And they're asking for tier 1 MBA college. So they are looking at in IIMs and all those things, or maybe in terms of CA rankers, they are looking for. Uh, this is more of a profile where there is a possibility to get in. This is a outsourced kind of a profile that is there. This is more of a buy side, proper buy side kind of work. This is not exactly completely buy side, but it is doing similar kind of job opportunity. So the requirements are slightly lower. So this is what I had to cover today. Broadly, what we covered today is the whole recruitment process. The purpose of that discussion was to ensure that you are well prepared when you go for a particular interview, or when you are applying for job opportunities. You are well prepared for this. We went into multiple profiles and talked about those profiles, because you need to have perspective in terms of where should you apply, what should you look at, where you have the highest chance of getting into, and where the chances are not so high. So you should have the right expectation with the profile. If you have any questions, I can take up. I will be more than happy to take up questions. Okay. So if there are no questions, it's okay. We are going to continue with this session tomorrow. Tomorrow, what we are going to do is actually work with you know work with understanding of how to build a resume, and how to prepare for your interview. We'll also include how to search for jobs, because this is one thing that a lot of people have come back and said that, sir, um, I don't know how to search for the jobs, or whatever jobs I'm applying, I'm not getting any response from the job. I don't understand what kind of job should I apply for and what I should not apply for. So we will try and ponder about over those things in the session tomorrow. If you still have questions, I am available. We can talk. We can take those questions. We will also, yeah.
consultancy and what investment banking does advisory. All those comes under one.
So they may be doing similar kind of stuff, but when we say consultancy, when I say the advisory work that the investment bankers do, they typically focus related to the financial aspects. The consulting guys will not just look at the financial aspect, they will cover a larger area, from finance to marketing to HR to operations. They will try and cover all of it.
Yeah, okay, sir.
Yeah. Any more questions? If you are looking for any advice, career advice, I will be more than happy to help you with that also.